When people try to figure out the common character of genius, they surprised to find out those common character is overlap with the common character of people who have madness. And when the brain science developed more and more, they even realized there's some mystery chemical is the cause of both things. Both the extreme, the best of the brain and the worst of the brain is caused by these mystery chemicals. So if you try to be a genius, you better watch this video because you don't want to go to the wrong way. As normal people, how we go about our daily life is with mental models. Just like when you hop into the car, you don't really think. You just doing the muscle memory, turn the key, press the gas, and do this, turn right, turn left. You don't really have to measure it like in the math class. Or when you walk on the street or take the T, you don't really remember everybody's face. Even then, they're this far away from you. Unless someone like really pretty or handsome showed up, or someone behaved really sketchy, may do some harm on you, that's the time they suddenly stick out from the normal life, break out the model and captivate our attention. And in brain science, we call that Sialian circuit is firing. And what happened for people with some mental illness, madness, or schizophrenia is this Sialian circuit is not working properly. That's the reason why when there's a TV is playing, for us, it's like background noise. But for them, they will hear that the person in the TV is talking to me. They're telling me it's time to act because FBI is trying to find me and send me to death. And genius is the same way. When Newton see an apple drop from the sky, normally people wouldn't question it. You as a baby understand how gravity works, so you wouldn't ask why does it do it. But for Newton, this one suddenly just stick out to his normal life, and he start wondering what the heck make apple drop. Or when you're watching on TV, all you care about is how can I change the channel with my remote. You wouldn't really think about, oh, can my TV communicate with my neighbor's TV? But this is the question that Steve Jobs come up, and that's why he even created Apple in the first place. And this is what he described in the book, The Molecule of More. Like people with mental illness, creative people such as artists, poets, scientists, and mathematicians will, at times, experience their thought running free. Creative thinking requires people to let go of those conventional interpretations of the world in order to see things in a brand new way. In other words, they must break apart their preconceived model of reality. And also in the book, it describes, if you want to experience how genius look at the world or how madman experience the world, just try to recall last time when you have like a favorite dream. There's a scientist even done experiment. They tell people to write down when they have a favorite dream, what did they see? And they also ask people with schizophrenia to write down what they see in the daily life, what it feels like in a psychosis. When they compare the two things that both groups write, they find the absurdness is exactly the same. And it also mentioned there is a specific way we can actually fine-tune our Sialian circuits for like a normal people to become a genius. And I will cover that in the end of the video. But before I teach you how to become a genius-like, I also have to warn you the downside of being a genius is genius is always a jerk. Within the smart people, or all those in the history, they have a common sentence that every smart people say before is, I love humanity, but hate individual person. For example, Einstein, his contribution changed human society drastically, and he even conducted the anti-nuclear statement to protect human race and have more contribution with peace. But if you look his personal life, he cheated on his wife, he married his cousin, and cheated on his cousin, and all the women surrounding by him hurt to a level that anybody read those stories will feel touched. Or Newton, like we just mentioned. All the autobiography you read about Newton, They're essentially talking about one thing, is how jerk is Newton. Within his life, no one actually liked him. You may think, oh my God, poor dude. But if you see what he did, you also don't have that empathy for him. Later on in his life, he became one of the governmental positions. His job is catch people who make fake currencies or fake cash. And normally, what people do is you catch them, put in the jail. And that's what he's being told. Every co-worker or his boss telling him, yeah, that's what you need to do. Catch them, put them in the jail. But no, that's not what he do. He have to kill them, and in the most cruel way. Everybody was shocked by what he did. Or another example, philosopher Rousseau. He writes so many books about equality. He talk about human natures. Whoever read the book he write will feel touched. He said when he see people is not in equal position, he even cry. But when you look his personal life, he have 5 kids with his lover. And he sent all those 5 kids to orphan house. In the last stage of his life, he read a book called Confession. And when you read the book, you almost feel disgusted by what he write. He said, the reason why I send my kids away is because I don't have time for it. I need to love humanity. I need to contribute my effort to humanity, so I send my kids away. It's almost impossible for normal people like you and me to understand it. What's the logic within it? When brain science developed more and more, they finally find the mystery chemical that causes these two things. It's actually dopamine. When you have a loss of dopamine in your brain, you directly become more creative, and the ciliary circuits become more sensitive. They may get fired up when it's not supposed to be. As normal people, when our ciliary circuits fired up really depends on natural selection. For example, you see someone pretty and handsome, it's fired up. You see someone may danger you, it fired up. When it's compete with others, it fired up. But for geniuses and madmen, they fired up randomly. If by luck it fired up when you look at the sky, you will become the next Newton. But unfortunately, when it fired up when the TV is playing, you have a psychosis and become madman, literally. How relationship between a genius and a madman is when those geniuses really smart have a kiss, there's a higher chances of their kids, more like 2 or 3 times more higher chance to have mental illness. And now you look at it, you'll realize, wow, even be a genius comes with hefty price. You only cared about a future perspective, rational, and look at from macro humanity, grand point of view. All the things during your life, have to clean the kitchens, and kids, and wife, and don't hurt other people's feelings, suddenly feel so meaningless to you. You start don't care about it. So, okay, it's very interesting to hear the madman, genius, and gossip of famous people. But how can me as a normal person be benefit from that piece of information? In the book, it covered how can you fine-tune your ciliary system, your ciliary circuits, and become a genius. The answer is knowledge. When you go to an art museum with someone who study art history and understand the beauty of arts, you will find them staring at certain painting for hours. When they come out of the museum, they feel so satisfied. But for me, I barely see it. It's just, I don't know, a woman that lying down there. And all the paintings look more or less similar. When I left the museum, I didn't remember any of the painting. That's the direct consequences of a fine-tuned ciliums. They can capture the beauty, the aesthetic, the satisfactions that we normal people cannot capture. The reason why they can is because knowledge. Or bring a more mundane example. Lots of people sensitive to black cats, to number 13, that normal people I wouldn't pay attention to. The reason why is they have studied certain thing about 13, certain thing about black cat, certain thing about 6. And I even remember before when I'm working as a tour guide, you can directly see people with some knowledge in their head, and the people who not knowing what they sign up for, their experience with travel is drastically different. For people who not really knowing what they sign up for, all they do is sleep on the bus, they wake up, they go to the bathroom, they take picture with themselves, and something that people say is famous. But for people who love arts, culture, history, architect, everything is so satisfying for them. They enjoy every second of it. And they're telling me how they've been reading about it from the book, but in reality, it's way more shocking than when they read the book. And that different experience is a direct result of knowledge fine-tuning. And that will be all for today's video. I really hope you learned something from it. My name is Paul. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.